Warning, this video contains highly opinionated material. In no way should anything said in this video be taken as fact. If you begin experiencing any of these symptoms, please turn off the video immediately. For any first-person shooter game, it's tough, because it's not my favorite genre. In fact, it's one of my least favorite genres. So right off the bat, a game like this has to have something special about it for me to give it so much as a second glance. Tell me a game allows you to run around Nazi-controlled areas in late World War II, tactically taking out enemies as a sniper? Go on, you have my attention. From square one, I was a bit skeptical about how much I'd enjoy Sniper Elite V2. I got it off a Steam sale for free and was willing to try it based off of friends' recommendations. Keep in mind that these friends have hundreds of hours logged into Call of Duty and other likewise first-person shooters, but still, the user reviews were overall positive and the promise of a different first-person shooter experience with a mildly entertaining story tied in was too much to resist. I ran through the tutorial with little difficulty, noting the vast amount of tools and weapons at my disposal. I have to admit, trying to understand the perfect times to use such tools as the landmines, tripwires, or even the rocks confused and even scared me a bit. How am I ever going to make it through the entire campaign, I thought to myself. Sure, cadet difficulty was extremely forgiving, but I was still a long ways away from the RPGs I'd grown up with. To my fortunate surprise, Sniper Elite V2 allowed for much more flexibility than I had originally feared to be the case. It was not only possible, but a viable strategy to come out of a level using only your sniper rifle. This was a huge relief for me, as taking on enemies from afar was just about the only thing I felt comfortable doing. Were the levels easier when I took advantage of more than just one of my assets? Yes, but as I've previously stated, sniping was what I was comfortable with, so that's what I did. I have to give a lot of credit to Rebellion for allowing players to forge their own path and think of their own creative methods for completing the objectives laid out in front of them. They could have just as easily created a very linear experience with concrete requirements for when to use what tool. Instead, they allowed players to choose whether they'd sneak around without being seen, run in guns a-blazing, or anything else in between. One thing that's absolutely necessary for first-person shooters is how responsive the gunplay is. Pretty much anyone who plays this genre will say the same, that if the shooting doesn't feel right, then there's not much else that can redeem a game. But what is this feeling that I keep talking about? I'm sure those who've played many first-person shooters have an idea of what I'm saying, but let's try to give a more descriptive example. Responsive is a very broad term which encompasses many different aspects of how the shooting elements of a game play out. Latency between clicking the button and the bullet firing is a major one, often referred to as lag, but it's not the only part of this definition. A gun's accuracy as well as its precision are also important. These two may sound fairly similar, but they do have their differences. Accuracy refers to a value, in this case where your bullet lands, based on a standard, the target, whereas precision compares how close two different values are to each other. This would mean that you expect a sniper rifle's accuracy to be relatively high when aiming directly at your target, hitting said target a reasonably large amount of the time. In terms of precision, a sniper rifle should also hit close to the same spot when you're aiming at the same area of a target. Taking into account all of the aspects of firing a gun in a first-person shooter that I've discussed up to this point, let's say that a game has shooting mechanics that feel good when there's low latency lag, high accuracy, and high precision of your shots. I'm pleased to say that Sniper Elite V2's gunplay was very good, as to be expected of a game focused mostly on sniping enemies. I mean, come on, it's in the title. You won't see me ranting and raving about graphics this and graphics that, because I'm a firm believer of the ideal that graphics do nothing for a game's quality. As long as a game has unique, functional, or at least entertaining mechanics, I'm fine with whatever graphics are thrown on top of it. That being said, there is one specific graphic that did draw my attention to this game when first looking at it. Those of you who've ever played Sniper Elite V2 probably know where I'm going with this: the bullet cam. When you kill an enemy with a sniper round, you often get to see a brutal slow-mo of your bullet entering and exiting whatever part of the body you shot, organs and all. If you're skilled or lucky enough, you might, just might, get to see a specific part of the male anatomy. It's this level of detail and humor combined that gives this game a bit of pizzazz that otherwise would be missing. Shifting gears slightly to the level designs in particular, this is where Sniper Elite V2 can really shine at times. Not only do the levels hold tons of secrets like bottles to shoot or gold bars to collect, but they manage to convey whatever feeling or challenge that's appropriate for the mission at hand. Try sneaking your way into a building filled to the brim with Nazis that would kill you in a heartbeat, finding the perfect spot and taking out an enemy commander on the next building over. Zoomed all the way in, he's still only a speck in your sights, and yet I found myself taking on this challenge and many more with gusto. It takes great level design to not only make this sort of thing possible, but to make the player wholeheartedly want to complete it. Making the target too small to snipe effectively, or being too difficult to sneak into the building would make most players quit on an otherwise thrilling adventure, yet Rebellion managed to balance difficulty and enjoyment to allow for the levels to foster all kinds of great times to be had. First-person shooters are notorious for having lackluster stories behind them, and it's unfortunate that Sniper Elite V2 couldn't break that mold. As the player, you're thrust into your character, a nameless American sniper who's been sent to Berlin during the climax of World War II to take out a Nazi commander. You soon find yourself much deeper into Nazi planning than you'd originally intended, discovering schemes to attach a powerful nerve gas to a rocket and attack the Allied forces with one final assault. Obviously enough, you stop the bad guys before they could do any real harm and save the day as the still nameless hero. It's not what the main character does during the story that I find somewhat dull, but rather the lack of development as a person. Does he have a wife and kids back home? Is he a loose cannon with nothing left to lose? Was he at the top of his graduating class? Or maybe even a dropout given one final chance? The fact is, we don't know. There's nothing to give our hero, as it were, any sort of humanity. Sure enough, we don't want him to die, being that he stands for all that's morally right in this world of the game, but that doesn't mean that we sympathize with him as much as what he stands for. As is, he's no different than just another picture on your screen while you control him with the strings of a puppet master. Considering that the story campaigns are such a large part of gameplay for Sniper Elite V2, it's only right that I evaluate the condition of how the AI of the NPCs interact with the player as well as the environment. Being that I spent the majority of my time in this game on either easy or medium difficulty, I can attest to how kind the AI can be in times of dire need. On the easiest settings, the enemies will often miss you, or even when they do manage to hit you, the damage done isn't anything significant. You become something of a super soldier fighting ants when on cadet, and this will scale appropriately as the difficulty increases. Medium and hard difficulties introduce such complexities as bullet ballistics and more competent enemies. They manage to hit you more often for more damage, while you're given a much harder case for doing the same. Things such as gravity and wind can affect your shots, while the ones you're shooting at are doing moderately well on their own. Among the classic enemy sniper and foot soldier, you're given the chance to take on armored trucks and even tanks. Despite having limited supplies, the game always manages to give you the opening you need, usually in the form of an open gas tank cap, to take out even the most powerful of enemies. Even after completing the game, I felt as though it was nothing above a mediocre experience. This was before I got together with friends to play the co-op campaign. Rampaging through the levels with my friends at my side created a whole new kind of experience, one that greatly increased my outlook on the game overall. Simultaneously competing for the most kills while trying not to let the enemy kill us was absolutely frustrating, invigorating, and hilarious. The same cannot be said for the online multiplayer, but that's what happens when you introduce team deathmatch servers into a game primarily about sniping. All in all, Sniper Elite V2 was an average first-person shooter with semi-unique mechanics revolved around sniping enemies from afar, turned into a thrilling experience when co-op play was thrown into the mix. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone who has a friend or two to run through the campaign missions with, or someone who's overly interested in heavy sniping mechanics. Taking my personal enjoyment from the time spent playing this game, I find myself giving Sniper Elite V2 a 7.9 out of 10. At the time of this review, Sniper Elite V2 is for sale on Steam for $29.99 US for anyone who is interested in checking it out. Though, if you're not dead set on buying it right at this moment, I'd suggest waiting until a sale comes around, as they happen semi-regularly for this franchise. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this review, as it's the first of its kind that I've done, so it's purely experimental at this point. Leave your comments in the comment section below about your thoughts on this review and Sniper Elite V2 as a whole. Though I will ask that all comments be constructive so that I can learn from my mistakes, rather than just frothing rage over insulting your favorite video game. I will make an announcement about what changes will be made to the video rotation in Saturday's post-Week of Madness vlog. I will see you all tomorrow for the Path of Exile Let's Play, so until then, don't die.